We're continuing to follow the breaking news of a shooting. At least 5 people have been injured, or 5 casualties at Fort Stewart Base in Georgia. Now the question turns to who did it and why. I want to bring in NBC News national law enforcement correspondent Tom Winter, retired ATF special agent and NBC terrorism analyst Jim Kavanaugh. On the phone is our senior national security correspondent Courtney Kube. Let's set the stage if we can, Tom. What do we know at this hour?
Sure. So the shooting happened approximately 2 hours ago, 10:56 a.m. Eastern time this morning. That's when the initial reports of shots fired came out. Police were immediately dispatched to the scene. Ambulances were dispatched at 11:09. The lockdown, by the way, base-wide lockdown went into effect at 11:04. At 11:35 a.m., the suspect is in custody. So the suspect is in custody in this incident. They've been identified. There is no longer a threat. All of this, according to the U.S. military. The lockdown was lifted at 12:10. There were 5 shooting victims in total. We don't know their conditions. They were transported to a military hospital or Army hospital, community hospital in the area. Again, all this coming from the military. And we don't know the name of the shooter, and we don't know if there was any, what the potential motive could have been. Is this a dispute? Was this a targeted incident? We don't have those details. And as you and I were just discussing last hour, a little bit of a kind of an expectations level set here. Since this occurred on a military base, we're not going to involve at this point all the victims are soldiers, all the casualties are soldiers, all of that according to the military. So when that happens, the military investigates, not necessarily your local sheriff's office, not necessarily your local prosecutor's office, or even the FBI. As a matter of fact, the FBI out with a statement saying, "Hey, look, we're aware of this." They've got a main office in Atlanta. We've got a sub office called a residential an RA office that is in the Savannah area. They've offered to help, certainly, but at the moment, all the information is going to come from the military. So that's what we know about this. Again, 5 soldiers shot. This is going to be a military-on-military incident, and we don't yet know their conditions.
Let me go to Courtney Kube. Courtney, tell us a little bit about this base, if you will. We've been talking about the fact that it is huge, probably has more than 10,000 people on it, but 279,000 acres, and yet in less than 40 minutes from the time they got the call, they had the suspect, the shooter, in custody. Tell us about this base and what else you know.
Yeah, and there's a couple of reasons that was most likely the case here, Chris. Number one, the shots were over in a specific complex on the base, the 2nd Armored Brigade Combat Team Complex, which, by the way, is still on lockdown at this point. And that it's most likely not an indicator of an ongoing threat, and more likely an indicator of the fact that it's now being considered, a crime scene and a location that they need to investigate, and they don't want to do anything that could potentially sully that crime scene. But because it was in a pretty specific part of the base, and remember, you're talking about a military base that's going to have their inherent security services there. They're going to have guards and gates there that the police will be able to respond pretty quickly here. I suspect that's why we saw such a quick turnaround time from the moment that the first shots were reported to have been fired and the suspect was apprehended here. The base itself, you mentioned that it's about 10,000 men and women. That's uniformed service members and civilians who would have access to the base there as well. And then it's also home to the storied 3rd Infantry Division. So it's one of the, historic bases for the United States Army. And I suspect that one of the things that they are going to be looking at here as part of this investigation is, number one, we don't have any information about the suspect. Who was the suspect? As Tom was saying, what was the motive here? But then also, what kind of weapon was used here? Why did the individual have a weapon while on base? Was it part of that person's day-to-day job, and that's why, or not? That I suspect will be a part of this investigation as well. And then, of course, the big question here is, what was the motive? This is not the first time that we have seen, unfortunately, a shooting or any kind of violence on a military base. We've reported on this, unfortunately, a number of different times over the years. Every time has been a little bit different here, so we're just waiting to hear exactly, again, who was this alleged shooter and what was the possible motive here. And then the big question also that we're continuing to ask questions about is the condition of those soldiers who were shot. At this point, we are still being told that they were transported to the hospital on base, and there have been no reports of any actual fatalities among those 5 soldiers who were injured.
Courtney, are you able to look at a TV set right now?
I'm not actually. I'm standing outside the Pentagon.
Okay, because then in that case, Tom, I will ask you to take a look at this. But we have our first video that's coming in from the scene, and it comes to us via TikTok. There's no sound on this, but let's just let this play for a second.
It's wrong.
So that's it. We see the loop, but obviously people are coming out of what looks to, well, I don't want to say that they're barracks. I don't know if they're barracks.
Yeah, or some sort of a classroom or whatever it is. It always. Much like when people take videos when they're fleeing a airplane that's on fire or has landed on the runway, it's kind of like, what are the priorities? On the other hand, these soldiers know their base presumably better than, well, they definitely know it better than I do, and presumably better than most. So perhaps they knew where they were and they were just getting outside there. But the thing that you like to see there, based on all of our reporting over the years, spending time with active shooter training, is I like the idea that people are running out of the classroom. Get out of there. Get out of the area where this is happening. Get to a safer location. There's been a lot of teaching over the years to hide behind your desks, and I can tell you that I've seen what a high-powered rifle. And we don't know yet what weapon was used here, but we're on a military base. Desk isn't going to
protect you.
Desk is not going to protect you. File cabinet's not going to protect you. So they are doing the types of things that people are frequently told to do. And so from that standpoint, that's something that law enforcement typically tells people. And the military's training when it comes to these type of active shooter drills, I understand, is very much the same.
All right, let me bring in Jim Kavanaugh. And Jim, there's a couple of things that I want to talk to you about, but let's just discuss the fact of what we've heard, that the complex itself where this shooting occurred, that specific area of the base, is still on lockdown because it's a crime scene. So I'm guessing it doesn't matter if you're military or if you're a civilian investigator. An investigation is an investigation. So what would they be doing?
Right. Well, the Army's Criminal Investigation Division, CID, worked with them extensively in my career. They're a great unit, top shelf detectives, investigators. They're going to be the ones in charge because we've got an all military personnel involved as assailant and victims. But we work with them, and the police work with them, and all the agencies work with them all the time. And they can easily conduct a major crime scene processing there with the help of everybody else as well, because it's teamwork that is what's needed at the end of the day. It's everybody's safe from the assailant is what we've heard from the military statements. But the situation is not totally over, because whoever the assailant is, the authorities have to go back to their residence. Now, that could be on base or off base. Often the soldiers, sailors, airmen live off base. And they have to go to that location, and they have to go to the vehicle they own, whether it's on base or somewhere else. And those have to be swept for explosive devices, booby traps, and any other victims. People could have been murdered or shot before they went on this spree at the base. So that has to be all covered today. So the situation is ongoing. It's not totally over. That is going to be ongoing. The hospital care on the injured is ongoing, notification of families, crime scene processing, and the rendering safe of vehicles and locations that the assailant lived on, and the interrogation of the assailant, and of course the normal sweeping of their electronic devices, as you brought up, Chris, to discover motive. Now, in military shootings, sometimes we have seen terrorism as an underlying motive. In that case, strongly the FBI would come in if that is the case. But we also see personal motives, like in a New York killing recently last week at the skyscraper. The underlying leitmotif of that was suicide. And sometimes we see that too. We see revenge, workplace violence. Somebody's unhappy with their situation and they take it out on people at work. So the Army is a workplace as well. It's a small city in Fort Stewart. I've been to Fort Stewart. It's a small city. Good work by the police there. Good work by the MPs, the base police, Army CID. I'm sure we're going to be hearing some statements from them soon. Maybe a press conference, and will give us some more information.
Well, stay right there, but I want to go back to Courtney, because Courtney, the statement that we got from the Fort Stewart Army Airfield said that this is our statement, and we're expecting to release no further information until the investigation is complete. Now, again, maybe their version of a complete investigation is different than it is in the civilian world, but should we expect to hear something more from them today, do you think?
Yeah, we've been asking that because, look, I mean, unfortunately, because we've covered incidents like this, shootings and active shooters on military installations in the past, generally a commander, a base commander, a brigade commander, whatever it is, will come out and give, even if it's a short statement, even if they're reading the statement they've already released in written form, and take a question or two with the media. So that's pretty standard at this point. We're pushing to see if we get that. I wouldn't be surprised if we do. I mean, it's not just to give information to the media, but part of the point of the base commander or military leadership coming out is to reassure the base and to reassure the public that the situation is under control. You know, as Jim was saying, many of these troops, they live on base or off base. There are kids who will be on that base. There are veterans who come on and off the base. They would have access to go to do some shopping, whether there's commissary or an exchange there. The leadership will generally come out and just try to restore confidence in the service members and their families that the situation is under control and it is safe for them to come on the base again.